Hi everyone, welcome back to the next diecast. Today I'm going to be showing you and reviewing this 1/18 scale 1965 Chevrolet Corvette made by Maisto. This is a really high quality model from Maisto. I bought this one at Sam's Club last summer for a really good deal at $15. Wholesale clubs such as Sam's Club and Costco and even BJ's, they often sell 1/18 scale diecast vehicles, mostly from the Maisto brand, and occasionally from the Barago brand too, for around $15. And I think that's an excellent deal, especially for models of this quality, especially. But you can find this model elsewhere online on sites such as Amazon and American Excellence and whatnot, and eBay for usually between like $26 and $40. I'd say for anywhere in that price range, this model is well worth it. This model from Maisto includes some characteristics that most other Maistos don't include, which is really cool to see. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get into the detail here. We'll start up here with the front of the model. We'll take a look at this lower grille here. This grille is actually a true grille. Maisto actually made the slats with perforations in them. So in theory, you could see into the engine if you looked hard enough. A lot of times, Maisto will just do like a solid piece for their grill, but on this one, they actually made it like a true grill, which I mean you don't see too often. And they did start making this model in like the mid 2000s, so that was when they were still doing like their three-dimensional grills and all that. But that's a really nice touch, I think, with this model. This has pop-up headlights on it, just like the real C2 Corvette, but they don't actually like raise up or anything. If this were an auto art version, they would probably have actual working pop-up lights, but this is a $25 model, so it's not going to have that. It would be cool though, for sure. This Corvette flag badge up here is painted on very nicely. It's on a sticker. And this orange paint that you see here, this was a Sam's Club exclusive color for 2017. But you can currently find this model in like a metallic silver, a light metallic blue, I think black and red as well. And there's also a police version too. That's pretty similar, except it's like blue and it has like white doors with police logos on them. I think there's like a roof light, but the interior is pretty much the same. So that this review could definitely apply to both as well. But this orange was not an actual color on the 1965 Corvette or any of the C2 generation Corvettes, but I think it looks really cool on this model especially. And if we take a look at the wheels here, Maisto did a really good job with the wheels as well. The little tiny spokes, they're actually real spokes. Maisto didn't just do like a solid chrome piece. They actually hollowed out each individual spoke. And this kind of triangular shaped thing here, that's called a knockoff hub. And on the real car, you could just take a mallet and then you could kind of knock on the one corner, and then it would come off. Then you could take off the wheel if you wanted to change the tire or whatnot. But Maisto actually did that as a separate piece, which is really cool. They don't usually, do their wheels in several pieces, but on this one they did. It has these nice looking red line tires. The red version of this model also has the red line tires, and I believe the rest have white walls. But I think the red lines look really cool, especially with this bright orange. There's a fuel injection badge on either side of the car, just past the fender. One thing that's kind of disappointing is that these side vents here, they're just kind of indentations in the body. They aren't like actual hollowed out vents. It kind of would have been cool to see them do hollowed out vents. Maybe even just paint these so they look like they're hollowed out. But they don't look too terrible or anything. All of the chrome pieces on this car, very sturdy, like the antenna and the door handles and the mirror. They're not going to be falling off anytime soon unless you make an effort to take them off. Moving along to the rear of the car, Maisto did a really good job with this Corvette gas cap up here. It almost looks like an actual gas cap too. I think they did a great job with that. There's this Corvette badge back here, Corvette Stingray it says on it. They did it in this like nice silver paint. It kind of looks like a true badge, but it's just painted on. These taillights, they're done as like separate kind of chrome red pieces. They look pretty good, although I think they look a little bit cheap when you look at them up close. It kind of would have been cool to see them do maybe actual lenses rather than just chrome. But otherwise, they look really awesome, especially This is when they began that whole four taillight look on these Corvettes. It looks really awesome. All the bumpers are separate chrome plastic pieces. They're nice and firm. They're not going to be coming off anytime soon either. Exhaust pipes, they're done in chrome, like what Maisto usually does with their models. But at least these are actually hollowed out, which is nice to see. The California license plate back there. This car just looks amazing from every angle, I think. Any of the 1960s Corvettes look really cool. In terms of opening features, you don't get an opening trunk because the real C2 Corvette didn't have an opening trunk. It just had this kind of like boat tail shape in the back here, or like the stinger, as some people would call it. But they did do a nice job of detailing like the portion behind the seats. It kind of has like a texture to it. It's kind of hard to see through the window here. We'll go ahead and get right into the engine because that actually does open. And Maisto did an excellent job with replicating the engine of the Corvette. This is probably one of the best Maisto engine jobs I've seen. It's completely three-dimensional. It's made up of probably at least like 20 different parts and pieces. You can see all the wiring, all the hoses, and like the main engine block. They even put the Corvette badge up here. They just did an excellent job. And for $15, this is just an excellent deal, just because the engine looks so amazing in terms of detail. They even put in this little prop rod here, so whenever the hood has trouble staying up, you can just prop it up with that. It's just an excellent job. You can see there's a Corvette inscription on either side of the main block there. Really nice detail. You can see all the way down to the bottom. It's just wow. This is probably one of the best Maisto engine jobs I've seen. And if you're a really die-hard Corvette fan like myself, then this is just like amazing to see that in a model of such a cheap price. This is probably the level of like auto art, I would say, for sure. And that's just incredible to see that. Moving on to the interior here. The doors are spring-loaded, so they're kind of stiff when you open them, but that's not a big deal. We'll take a look at the interior. The seats look and feel like they're true leather seats. Honestly, like when you run your finger across it, they feel like they're actual leather. That's just so cool to see that, especially on such a cheap model like this one. Maisto did a really good job with replicating the size of the seats and everything. It just looks great. This chrome piece here, I think on the real seats it has like a metal border on it. Maisto did a good job with imitating that. Door panels have nice detail on them as well. They have a kind of like a leather pattern to them, and the parts that are silver, Maisto did a good job with painting those. And the gauge cluster, they actually use three-dimensional gauges. They don't just use one big sticker or anything like that. Each gauge is a separate thing, or is a separate piece. It looks just incredible, the amount of detail. The steering wheel, I think, is supposed to be wood. They just kind of painted it brown. It still looks good, but it kind of would have been cool to see like kind of like a more like wood grain like look to it. But again, all the other details are just simply incredible. So this really is not a big deal at all. You can see the center console and everything better in there. They did an excellent job with that gauge cluster, I would definitely say. The floors have kind of a rough texture to them, almost like they're carpet, but they're not actually carpet, if you can like run your finger across them. They even did the floor mats too. That's just incredible attention to detail, especially for a Maisto model, if I must say. On the center stack there, you can see like the clock and the controls for the radio. This is probably one of their best classic car models, I would say, for sure. Maisto did several classic Corvettes. They've done Camaros and Mustangs and like a Chevelle and everything. But this is probably one of their best efforts, I would say, for sure, in terms of a classic car. And if you want a Corvette in your collection and don't want to like break the bank, then this is the perfect model for you, especially if you're into the classic 60s cars. Last but not least, let's take a look at the undercarriage. Even the undercarriage looks great on this model. Instead of using chrome exhaust like Maisto usually does, they just painted them silver, which looks a lot more realistic than just straight up chrome. You can see all the detail of the engine on the undercarriage there as well. Just incredible. For $15, I would say this is probably one of this is probably one of the best models that Sam's Club carries in terms of detail and like in terms of bang for the buck. Because for $15 you get like Highway 61 and Auto Art quality, which is just excellent. So overall, I would definitely recommend this model in particular to add to your collection. All right, that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching.